Hi, I'm Anne-Marie from brambleberry.com. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be showing you how to make these coffee bath truffles. They smell amazing, but what I really love about them is they use coffee seed oil, which is pressed from freshly roasted coffee beans. Yum. Super emollient for skin, really great in this recipe. It also works in other bath and body products as well. This is basically a regular bath fizzy with some added ingredients. We're using SLSA, which helps with really copious, really lovely bubbles, but also helps prevent ring around the tub. We've got some polysorbate in there as well. Polysorbate is an emulsifier that also helps with ring around the tub. So it helps those soap-like ingredients bind with and mix in with the oils that your skin loves, but the ring around the tub doesn't love so much. And finally, we're using some cocoa butter in here, which is emollient for skin, conditioning for skin, and really is gonna leave you feeling moist and smooth when you get out of the tub. And to really drive home the point that this is coffee, 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 it's not just the fragrance, nope. We've also included some ground coffee in here, as well as these adorable coffee beans. Now, the coffee beans themselves probably don't have a lot of skin properties, but they're really cute. If you're worried about them maybe getting down people's drains or annoying them, they are optional, but I just loved the look so much, I kept them in. So to get started, we're going to work with our powders first. So we have a little bit of baking soda, a little bit of citric acid. Remember, citric acid is super abrasive. It scours your fingernails. So if you're wearing fingernail polish like I am, you're gonna wanna wear some gloves for this. One of the keys for making really great bath fizzies is that you start with smooth ingredients. And so I am going to sift all of my smooth powders just to work out any clumps. If you don't have a sifter, you can always work out those clumps with your hand, but I find that the sifter really helps. Sometimes the citric acid and the baking soda can be just a little bit annoying to mucous membranes or maybe make you cough, that type of thing. So if that's you, consider using a mask. And since we're gonna be using some SLSA later, which is lighter than air, meaning it puffs everywhere, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that mask and have it handy. So if this does start to get a little irritated, I can slip it right on. So first I'm gonna start with my citric acid. In bath fizzy proportions, the citric acid and baking soda is always a 2 to 1 with the baking soda to 1 part of citric acid. And then once this is done, I'm going to melt down all of my oils and my wet ingredients to start folding into my dry ingredients. I happen to know the baking soda is totally gonna tickle my nose, so since I wanna be able to keep talking to you, this is going on. Ah! So there are some giant clumps in here. So, do you see all that poofing? Thus this. I'm gonna also work some of them in with my hands right now and see if that helps, because I'm gonna have to break them up anyways. I'm just gonna give this a really quick stir to get these incorporated, because once the SLSA is in, I don't want that SLSA flying around anywhere. The SLSA actually does make me cough, so definitely recommend a mask when working with the SLSA. It's really nice because it does help with the bubbles and it does help with the ring around the tub and it adds to the silky feeling in the water. And it is kind of a little more difficult to work with than these dry powders. All right, so I'm gonna add this very slowly, a little bit at a time. I've got it on my scale right now, just because it poofs. Okay, now I'm just gonna give this a very kind of slow, gentle stir, mostly to get the SLSA underneath the heavier powders. It's going to wet down really quickly when I start putting my oils in, but I just kind of want it out of the way. Now I'm gonna set this aside and work with my oils and butters. And since that is out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead, take the mask off so that hopefully you can hear me a little better. Now that the powders are done, I'm taking my mask off. I'm gonna start working with my oils. And when I do oil, especially solid oils like cocoa butter that kind of needs to be tempered and melted down gently, I like to actually add it with another liquid oil to melt those together. So this is, It's not deodorized cocoa butter. It smells amazing. I thought it would go really well with the two choices of fragrance that we have chosen for this project, which is our amazing Vanilla Select, which Brambleberry has carried for probably 18 to 20 years, very long time, perennial favorite, so good in soap, and then the Espresso fragrance. And the non-deodorized, so really good smelling cocoa butter just goes beautifully with that. It adds even more warmth and dimension. And this is that coffee seed oil that I was talking about earlier that smells just like freshly ground coffee. It smells amazing, but even better than that, it's full of antioxidants that supposedly do chock wonderful things for your skin. Now I'm gonna take this over to the microwave and just give it a quick melt. Should take a minute and a half or so on 30-second bursts. Now that this is just about melted, I can still see some cocoa butter chunks, but there's no need to put this fully in until all the cocoa butter is melted. I'm just gonna keep stirring it until the warm oils that are already melted melt those last little bits of the cocoa butter chunks. It's time to add our fragrance oils. Yum, espresso fragrance. I'm doing about 70% espresso and about 30% vanilla, and that vanilla just kind of helps to take down the oomph of the very strong, very amazing espresso fragrance. The reason I don't put the fragrance oils into the microwave is because if I was putting these fragrance oils into the microwave, it gets so hot that it may damage our fragrance oil. And so that's why I put it in afterwards, just to make sure that we have the maximum amount of smell that we possibly can. Finally, we're gonna do some polysorbate, and that's polysorbate 80 is what really helps with that ring around the tub. It also does contribute to the kind of silkiness feeling in the bath water. Before I mix this luscious mixture of fragrance oils and yummy butters and yummy oils, I'm gonna do just a little bit of this freshly ground coffee into my dry, probably just about a tablespoon. And again, this is totally optional. I think it makes these look really cool though. And now it's time to mix my wet into my dry. If you're making this in a really, really, really large batch, this is probably where you turn on your Hobart mixer, because this does take just a little bit of time to declump it and get it fully mixed in. And I am trying to continuously stir to help with the clumping. Just gonna give this, this is a lot like baking, you know? So if you were adding fresh kind of butter to some sort of dry material, this is exactly what it looks like, kind of that clumping that you see. So just like making a pie crust, you're gonna end up needing to break up those clumps. Now that I've got this mostly kind of, you know, well and evenly mixed, I'm gonna get in there with my hands, get them all messy. Before I do that, I should probably lay out my molds though. I'm also going to put a little bit of coffee beans just in the bottom of each of these, just to make sure that when this mixture is ready to go, I have max amount of time to work with it. Because once the mixture is ready to go with the witch hazel and all of that, sometimes it can get hard or crumbly or dry out too fast. So I want to just make sure that these are all ready to go with the coffee beans in place first. All right, let's get started. So now I'm just gonna kind of check my consistency, and this piece sort of fell apart, this piece sort of fell apart. I'm gonna go ahead and use a little bit of witch hazel. This is a great consistency, and you guys, that natural brown color, it's coming all from the coffee seed oil. Isn't it pretty? I love the hue that it's giving. So witch hazel is one of those essential ingredients when making bath fizzies because it helps to moisten without starting a premature fizz. When you're working with a batch this size, it's really good to kind of just keep mixing while you are wetting with the witch hazel. What I do notice is even though the witch hazel is really good for not having a premature fizz, if you just squirt like 10 squirts all at once in the same place, you might get a little fizzing action. And more importantly, you won't actually wet the entire batch in kind of an even fashion. So now I'm gonna check just to see where I'm at. I'm also making a nice mess here. It's really fun to clean up though, because it gets fizzy when it cleans up. This is way better. So this is getting, these are pretty much ready to get started. So now I'm just gonna take this mixture and I'm going to take a nice handful of it, place my mold in my hand evenly. And if I was really smart, I would be doing this over a cutting board so I could just sweep all the kind of excess into that, but I did not. So you might learn from my example, because notice how messy I am. And then just go all the way down. Now this is the Brambleberry clamshell mold for the Bath Fizzies. And if you're gonna wanna put the lid on later, make sure you're getting that kind of this area, this little racetrack area around. Make sure there's no extra Bath Fizzy mixture in there. Now, if you're anything like me, you're a little bit impatient when you're making this. So what you'll notice is if you are a little more patient, you'll end up with the coffee beans. If you do this a little bit more slowly, a little bit here, a little bit there, and more evenly, they won't all get pushed to one side. So like this guy right here, I was not very patient. And so can you see how they're all pushed to one side? So with this one, I'm gonna be a little bit better, and I'm gonna kind of start it and add a little bit, push that down, try and get those coffee beans in place and in position so that they're all over evenly the face of that Bath Fizzy before I then add the rest of it and start pushing down. When you're doing it kind of in a multi-step process too, kind of adding your mixture and then really pushing it in between the coffee beans, that can also help the coffee beans adhere to the mixture as opposed to just kind of popping out as soon as you pop your Bath Fizzy out. So I'll admit, there's more stuff left over in this recipe, and I got a little bored with these guys. So I am switching to this awesome Brambleberry mold, this little cube mold, because this way I can make single-use Bath Fizzies. And I like doing that for a variety of reasons. One, they look really cute packaged up in a little cellophane bag, but then also if you have kiddos, you can kind of dole out like 6 of these cubes so they get 6 times the fun instead of just one big Bath Fizzy. And I find that really works well in my household for bath time. So once you've got these all filled up, A, cleanup is super fun because it still fizzes a little when you're cleaning up. But B, you also have these lids you can put on that you can just pop these on. And these are really nice for kind of traveling and for transit. Or you can just pop these out tomorrow to use, and then they'll look basically just like this, which is very cute and super appealing. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up please, and subscribe to our channel because I'd love for you to be notified when new stuff gets released. You can buy all these products at brambleberry.com, and make sure when you make them, hashtag it BrambleOn, because I like to see what you make, and so does the rest of the team and the entire soap making community. Until next time, you guys, bye. And since that is out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead, take the mask off so that hopefully you can hear me a little better and I don't look so dorky. I'm not saying that, you have to cut it, okay. It smells amazing, but even better than that, it's full of antioxidants that supposedly do chock wonderful things for your skin. Chock wonderful, it's a thing. It's not just chock full, it's chock wonderful. Chock wonderful, okay.